guys, and welcome to the Freescast. Today we have our Halloween special, so we're going to be telling
There's
you...
no other way to say this. You better get some toilet paper because you're gonna crap. Gonna get a crap scared out.
That was actually really good for a spontaneous intro. I was just gonna say, hello, we're here to talk about random crap for Halloween.
Alright, so we're going to be telling you guys some scary stories, some things that have happened to us, some things that we know happened to some other people, and who would like to go first?
I could. Should I go first? Because mine are probably the least scary. So.
Yeah, you go first.
Okay. First, I would just like to say, is it hard to walk with that thing on your head? Because it looks pretty heavy. And
you've got an animal on your head. I'm gonna call Peter.
He's my friend. Okay. Now moving along. Or actually, should we? Never mind. So the scary story. A friend of mine lived in this house quite some time ago. She has now moved, but she lived in this house, and there was always this room that was kind of like a laundry room of sorts, and it, and it was like this one room. It was sort of like a laundry room and a TV room because the house was really old and they were stupid, so they put the laundry room with the TV room. I don't know. So anyways, there was always like weird stuff in that room. The TV set would come on by itself, yada, yada, yada. And what was really creepy, though, was one day the mom was in the room and heard a whisper in her ear, and there was nobody in there, so she left. And that night, after she heard the whisper, the dog was sitting at the edge of the bed, growling at the room. And I don't know why, but it's always, the dogs who, And then on the day when they were moving, the mom went back in to get something, and she smelled this horrible smell of, rotten, dead flesh. So she left. Admittedly, not that scary of a story, but a good starting point. Because if I had told that at the end, it would have really been a downer after what Julie has to say. Because I'm sure what Blue has to say is very interesting.
Okay. Shall I go next?
Sure.
Considering where you live.
Okay.
Alright, so...
Alright.
This first story it's not too scary, it's just more along the creepy side of things.
Mm-hmm.
So, the area that I live in is, for some reason, particularly said to be incredibly haunted, and I never really believed that it was until I moved into this particular building. And then I was like, yeah, things are haunted, for sure. So, And
then she did nothing about it.
I stayed in the same room for 4 years for some odd reason. So I moved in alone for the first time, and I was super excited about finally having my own place. And I remember the first year, really nothing happened, but the second year I lived in my apartment, when I would go to bed at night, and it would always be around a normal bedtime, 11 or 12. It was never early in the morning. It was never during dinner time. It was only around at 11 or 12 o'clock at night. And I would hear these footsteps. But the footsteps weren't on the ground. They were on the ceiling of my room.
Oh, God.
So I was like, well, maybe it's just the people upstairs. And I was like, it's no big deal. So I just kind of brushed it off. But it kept happening, every other night. And I was like, okay, this is kind of weird. And then I noticed over time that it was a pattern of steps. It was a step, 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 and then a pause, and then a step, step, and then a pause, and then a step, step, step. And it did that every other night for about maybe a month and a half. And I was like, okay, this is kind of weird. And then what I noticed was that the footsteps were coming only from the corners of the rooms.
Oh.
So you would hear the footsteps in one corner, and then you'd hear them in another corner. And I was like, well, maybe my neighbors are just dancing upstairs or something really weird. I was refusing to believe that it was something creepy. But then I realized you never heard whatever it was walking. You didn't hear it walk between the corners. it just all of a sudden was in a different corner. And it was only in 3 corners. The corner where my bed was, it would never walk there. Because if it's walking upside down, that means that its head would have been close to mine.
Oh, God. Oh, my God.
So this happened for a long
God.
time. And one night my friend was over and I was like, "Do you hear that?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Go upstairs and see if somebody's walking around." So she goes up there and she's like, "There's not even anybody there." And I'm like, "This happens to me all the time." It's like, I don't know what it is. So one night it had been like getting louder, and I was like laying in bed and I was like, "Okay, you have to leave. You can't stay here anymore. You got to find somewhere else to go walk around." And I never heard it again.
You just asked them.
I wonder. Now hold on a second. The pattern of the footsteps. Was that like Morse code or something? Was that Morse code, do you think?
You know what? I don't know. I never thought about it. I was just kind of like, okay, there's something that's walking around watching me sleep. I never really thought to think about it, but it was weird. It was that very specific pattern.
Well, we could check what 5 lights, 2 lights. I don't know.
Yeah, I could.
Normally, ghosts believe they're still alive. Yeah, and maybe they thought you were their friend. So when you asked them to leave, they probably thought they'd been rejected and actually left.
Yeah, and I haven't.
Being polite.
That particular thing hasn't happened again. Some other stuff has happened, but not anything like that. So.
It told its mafia friends to come and disturb you. No, but yeah. So it's my turn to tell a story then. My turn to tell a story, yeah?
Okay.
Alright, so you better get some toilet paper because this story will scare the crap out of you.
Yeah, see, my computer's in front of a set of stairs, so I just keep, like, looking behind me.
Well, exactly. I don't know what's behind me either, so yeah. This is called The Little Girl Who Wasn't From Lady Sparrow.
What the
Okay.
I lived in a house from hell many years. Many years. From age 11. For many years, from age 11 to almost 16. There wasn't constantly something happening. Doors flying open and shut, and footsteps. Nothing ever stayed where you put it. I was alone there a lot because both my parents worked. I was constantly terrified.
I'm terrified just by this voice.
Yeah.
Things though was the little girl in my bedroom. Every time I walked past the bedroom door, which was constantly every day to be honest, I saw a little girl with blonde curled hair and rose-colored dress. She stood there, staring, looking at me, like a photograph from 1905. I started keeping the door closed so I could walk by without being seen by her, but she was always there when I opened it. Once I opened it past her, I couldn't see her anymore, but I could feel her there. She scared me, but I felt really sorry for her because she was trapped there like me. But probably forever, as the years went by and things in the house continued to get worse, she started screaming darker. I started feeling like she wasn't really a little girl. I knew there was something wrong, something ugly in the house. I felt like I was being watched constantly. Then I started thinking I was completely losing my mind. One day, when I was 14, I had a friend from out of town come stay with me for a week. I told her anything what's over about the house. I didn't think she wouldn't come if I did, right? After she got there, we were sitting in my room, and she left to go to the bathroom. A minute later, she walked back with a puzzled look on her face and said, "So there's a little girl in your bathroom?" Yeah, she hangs out there. Blonde hair, curls, pink dress. Yeah, you know, that's not really a little girl, don't you? I almost threw up. I was so relieved and terrified and excited and ready to run out of the house screaming. She wouldn't use my bathroom the rest of the week, and I started using it as little as possible without pissing myself. Who did not want to believe? Eventually, we moved out, and I could not be happier. That's it. Was that good?
Tell me that was good. That was
Yeah.
It was pretty good. I wonder though, is it actually true?
good. I don't know.
I don't
yes,
know, but
it's
I liked,
true.
I liked that voice that you started with.
I kind of faltered
know.
off at the end. I think you started to lose your voice. It was just too much stress. It's technically my turn, although I really don't tend to have that many scary stories. Guess I could spawn an
another one.
ankylosaurus. That'd be pretty scary.
Well, before we transition into another story, I went ahead and I took a shot looking up the Morse code alphabet, and the steps look like they spell out O, no, O. So
You
that's
don't remember
fun.
the steps. You
So
probably
Oh,
whoever
God.
it was not happy.
Oh God!
Oh, okay, sorry.
Reese, stop.
Yes. Okay, sorry. But yeah,
Aquafox
I got
says
another
stop.
one.
Okay.
Maybe. But this one's true. This one is true.
All right, let's hear it.
So, once upon a time, when I was round my nan's once, yes, she used to actually,
Hold
She
on,
used to
start
live in a
over.
flat.
Start over.
okay, once upon a time, I used to live in a flat. Well, my nan used to live in a flat. I used to go around her house, but then I used to always look at the window. Then on the other flat, which was like another building across the road to it, yeah, it had it always had someone looking at me through it. I swear there was, anyway. Yeah, it turns out it wasn't someone looking through me. It was just a statue.
Wow. Great story. Cool story, bro.
Yeah, cool story, bro. All right, so I have another story, and this one is from this summer, actually. So this is the most recent. Well, actually, it's
Sighting.
not anymore. It's not the most recent thing. Something happened last weekend. But I was working as a counselor, and it was actually in the same area where my apartment complex is. So it was just a different building. So we were still sort of in the, I guess you could say, the perimeter of the haunted area. And I remember before all the kids came, one of my coworkers and I were like wandering around the building, just checking everything out, like looking for places where people might hide if they like were trying to skip events or anything, just sort of checking the place out. And you just sort of got this feeling walking around the building like there was something else there.
Oh God.
And it just like progressively got creepier and bolder as the program went on. So one night, since we stayed in the building where the program was happening, so we used the bathroom on the second floor to like shower and stuff like that, so that way the kids could have their own space and we could have our own space. And I was down there alone, and I didn't hear any other doors open, and then all of a sudden the stall doors in the bathroom start opening and closing.
God.
Each one opened and closed. And it was like just as if somebody was like just checking to see if someone was in there, but it was like really slow. And then it stopped before it got to the one that was next to mine. So it stopped like a whole full stall away from where I was. And then they just stopped opening. And the door to exit the bathroom never opened again. But whatever it was stopped. And then my coworker Taylor, she was in there alone, and she thought I came in there and I was playing a prank on her, because she was in the shower section of the washroom, and she heard the sinks turning on and off. And I was like, nope, I didn't go in there. So whatever was opening the stall doors would flip on the sink when she was in there.
Oh my God.
And then one night, she walked past my room, and she said that I was talking to her through the door.
Oh God.
And I was on my bed reading. I was like, she was like, what were you talking about last night? And I was like, what are you talking about? I didn't say anything last night. And she was like, you were talking to me through the door. And I was like, no. So whatever it was actually talked to her. And then we were in the hallway one day, still same building. A lot of
Why
stuff
are you telling
happened
me
this
to kill
summer.
myself?
Lots of stuff happened this summer. I looked down the hallway, and this was before the kids got there, so there shouldn't have been anybody in the building, and there shouldn't have been anybody on our floor. And I could have swore I saw a little kid duck and run. And there are stories about that particular building being haunted by a small boy who died in the building. I
Oh
was
my
like,
God.
How'd he die?
So I turned to Taylor and was like,
How would he die?
I think I just saw that kid. How did he die? He fell down an elevator shaft.
Oh, that's just unfortunate. I mean,
Yeah.
Now, is that the end of the story?
Some other stuff happened, but it was more just along the lines of it was
Eerie?
creepy.
Yeah.
And like the kids actually told us, they were like, oh, I just remember something else actually. Well, one thing, the kids told us that they felt somebody following them at night when they would go to the bathroom. And we were like, yeah, that's just one of the ghosts making sure you get back to your room okay. Because it's kind of a long walk between their room and the bathroom. And like every night, if they left after a certain time, you could feel it follow you back. And it did that to
God.
Taylor and I as well. We always did like nightly room checks to give them updates for the next day, and just sort of like chit chat, make sure everyone was doing okay. They weren't like too homesick or stuff like that. And one of the boys told us that he was taking a shower, and when he got
I
out,
was going to say taking a shit.
no, when he got out of the shower, he said that he saw a short old man standing in the bathroom, like in the shower stall. Because like the way the showers are is there's like the section with the shower and then like a little section where you can put your stuff and where the door is. And he said that there was an old man standing there, and he blinked and he was gone. And so we
That's a
figured
fast
that
old
since
man.
yeah, just a short little old man, and he just
Pretty
disappeared. And we said that since during the school year that is the girls section of the hallway, we thought it was a peeping Tom ghost. So one of the boys saw that. A couple of the boys also felt people following them around the building. But that building was just, it had a lot more activity than my apartment complex, thankfully. But it was a very interesting experience, to say the least.
Before we transition to the next story, let's maybe talk a little bit about opinions on the whole, just ghosts in general,
Okay.
maybe.
I actually don't believe in the okay, of course I can. I do believe in the supernatural, because I believe that supernatural things do exist in some way, but I think they're just fragments of time left behind from what was, and they're just on a loop playing.
So you think it's more of like a temporal distortion than an actual like presence?
You make it sound nerdy. I didn't want it to sound nerdy. You made it sound nerdy.
I'm insulted.
That's an interesting perspective, though. I like that. I haven't heard anybody say that
That
before.
is very interesting.
Yeah.
Because time is quite the enigma,
Mhm.
whether it's just, a perception or what it really is. I don't know, because any sense of logic is telling me that there's no way it's real. But then again, things happen to people and things have happened to me that just convince me that there has to be something weird going on.
Mm-hmm. So, apparently I'm not allowed to tell my opinion on ghosts. Oh my gosh. Okay, so, like, I never really believed in, like, ghosts or spirits or anything, because I've always been a very religious person, so I believed in angels and demons, and I was like, well, ghosts, they don't really make any sense. So I was like, that doesn't seem like that would be anything. And then I moved here, And then stuff started happening, and I was like, okay, this is strange.
Um,
So my opinion on the whole ghost thing is that I believe that um, ghosts are just demons who are bored, don't have a whole lot of power on Earth, have nothing to do, and so they exist in areas where they know a little bit about people who may have lived there. For example, the person who founded this building, people think she lives here. It's just somebody pretending to be her, is what I think. And just scaring people because they have nothing else to do. So that's what I've always thought. So.
I always thought ghosts do it because it's fun. Because when I scare my cat and I get a reaction out of my cat, that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
I would like to say, there's just
Yeah.
this ankylosaurus wing over here spazzing out in the door. And at one point in its cycle of glitchiness, it looks kind of like a hand of skeletal, like
It
a skeletal hand
does.
coming through the door. So while you were telling this story, I turn around and I just see this like skeletal hand popping out of the. I was freaking out a little bit.
Our set is haunted.
So this is from the Reddit No Sleep. It did give me no sleep the first time I read it.
Oh no.
Yeah. Okay, so a while ago, a friend of mine sent me an intriguing URL saying, I suggest we do this sometime. Of course, I'm talking about the Midnight Game.
Oh no.
For those who don't want to read all of those rules that I sent, the gist of it is that you write your name on a piece of paper, put your blood on it, light a big candle, and then put them both in front of your wooden
Oh.
door. As the
Is
time
that
nears
the
midnight,
candle man? Wait,
you
is
start
that,
to-
I
yeah.
think I know this.
with the
That's
salt.
the candle man, and he comes in. Yeah, my friend
Yeah.
did that. They have not been the same since. Let's just say that.
Yeah. You start to knock on your own front door 22 times. The 22nd knock has to be the stroke of midnight, and you then blow the candle out and relight it. Doing this is said to invite the Midnight Man into your home, where you must walk around in complete darkness with the candle as your source of light. If the candle goes out, it means he's near, and you have to light your candle within 10 seconds or make a circle of around yourself in salt and stay inside of it. Other things that can happen are the room can go cold, you could hear a whisper, or even see humanoid figures are walking around. This continues until 3:33 a.m., whereupon if you've done everything correctly, you have won the game. If you lose, there are threats of insanity or even death. I don't have any belief in the supernatural, and until this weekend, I've had zero respect for anything of the sort. However, since playing this, I'm really yada 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 yada. So let's get to the story. Enough introduction. So he did it with his friend Ryan. 11:55 p.m. Ryan and I are getting our materials ready so we can write, prick, and knock all in the allotted time span. Ryan suggests that we throw the fuse since turning on lights means losing the game, but I don't really feel comfortable with fumbling around with all that. We just need to be disciplined about not turning on anything with power, and we'll be good. 11:59 p.m. to 12 a.m. We execute our name cards really well, and I end up doing the honor of the knocking. Ryan helps me synchronize the knocks, and I get it right on the dot. We blow out our candles and re-enter, lighting them again. As soon as we both have things lit, Ryan lets out an ooh noise, and we both laugh and relax a little. 12 a.m. to 12:45 a.m. You're supposed to move around or the Midnight Man is able to find you or something, so we creep slowly, tracing the wall and staying in the more open rooms. We start to go towards my bedroom, but Ryan says he feels like it would be too cramped. Both of our candles are doing just fine. And as Florida nights are this time of year, the house is as hot as expected. As we walk around, we talk and joke a little bit, though we are definitely both nervous to some degree. 12:45 a.m. to 12:55 a.m. Ryan asks me if we're allowed to eat during the game. I actually hadn't a clue and told him to go for it if he can avoid opening the fridge, since I'm sure the light would disqualify us from the game. I actually don't know what he ate because I forgot to ask and was distracted when he came back into the living room. With a full mouth, he says, "When is the Nightman supposed to arrive?" And I wish I hadn't said that because I reply with, "Nightman, that's..." And in a moment I regret more than anything. I began to sing the song from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Doing that was the single most stupidest thing I did because the night was not the same from that point on. Okay, this is where it starts to get creepy. 12:58 a.m. The only reason I remember the exact time is that I was looking at my watch by candlelight when it just went out. I didn't think I could panic like such a little girl, and I quickly relight it in no more than 5 seconds. That was close, I say, and Ryan looks at me silently. He makes a weird face, and I ask him what's wrong. What did you say, he asks? And I repeat myself. I said that was close, and he waves his hand and says, no, I heard that. What did you say right after that? Apparently he heard me whispering words immediately after what I said. We move over towards the bathroom in the hallway pretty quickly. 1:25 a.m. We've been walking around slowly, but with a bit more purpose than before. No more joking around, not much talking between us except necessary communication. We both feel a little more humbled than we had before we started. We both start to go from my bedroom and towards my mom's room, and that's when I look to the right and into the hallway bathroom. There's a figure just standing in the tub, part obscured by the drawn curtain. Our candles remain intact, so I grab Ryan's shirt firmly and speed walk towards the kitchen. Ryan didn't even ask me what's going on. Once we get to the far end of the kitchen, I ask him if he saw it, too. He did. At this point, Ryan asked me if there's anything in the rules that let you opt out of the game. He really didn't want to continue, but he was too scared to turn on the light and find out what happened from there, so he continued with me. I don't know what I would have done if he left. 1:40 a.m. We're staying in the kitchen and garage area, going back and forth between them, and I'm basically holding my breath whenever we go through a threshold, since I just expect to see him there. Things seem to calm down a bit until at around this time I realize something horrible. Ryan, I ask, where's the salt you bought? I didn't ask him because I didn't know, but because I didn't want to have to say it. He answered just as I thought he would. Your bedroom. We talk over it for a minute and basically conclude that we absolutely need the salt if things go wrong. We start towards my room. 1:45 a.m. Even though the kitchen and the bedroom are barely more than a 10-second sprint from one another, we don't dare do that. Any quick motion is just begging for your candle to go out, and I can't help but feel like running will provoke him. We inch our way towards the hall, and finally we have the same view of the bathroom that we had prior. I make myself look because I can't not. If he's still there, I want to know, and there's nothing. I just see a dark bathroom and nothing but that. I think that was the most relieved I felt all game, which is stupid because, as other players have mentioned, it seems like optimism is enough to draw him to. I walk through the hallway and into my bedroom, and I can see the giant cylinders of salt sitting right in front of my computer monitor. As soon as I grab one of them, the room goes cold. Of all the rooms in my house that never get cold, it's my bedroom. My bedroom is the hottest in the house due to bad insulation, and yet I suddenly have the urge to shiver. I turn around immediately with a salt shaker in hand and another under my arm, and two things immediately catch my eye. A, I don't see Ryan, who had been behind me up until the hallway to the bedroom. I do, however, see the glow of his candle coming from around the corner. I take a moment to wonder why he didn't come in to help me, since I only have one free hand due to the other grasping the candle, and I get my answer. The subtlest, most disturbing bob of the head to my left, right over my bed. I swear to you all, there was a figure just sitting in the middle of my bed, and his head had just moved. Between the cold, the lack of Ryan near me, and now this man who is silently perched on my bed, I just run straight out the door, my candle miraculously staying lit. But I drop the salt shaker that I'd had between my arm, and I merge with only one of them. I expect Ryan to get mad at me, but I round the corner and his eyes are so wide that I become startled again. Go, 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 he says right before his candle goes out. I feel awful for this, but I kept booking it back to the kitchen, turning around as soon as the candlelight reappears from behind. I don't know how long it took him, but it definitely didn't exceed 10 seconds. I try to apologize to him, and he tells me that in all honesty, he'd have done the same. 1:50 a.m. to 2:30 a.m. We decided to basically avoid the east part of the house, since both times of seeing him involved him in my bathroom or bedroom, and the living room was where the candle had gone out the first time. We also discussed the salt shaker situation, coming to the mutual decision that if one of our candles fails, the person will circle themselves and give the shaker to the other person to continue on. At this point, that happening is my biggest fear. For Ryan's candle to go out, him to have to plant himself in the house, and me to have to go traversing on my own for the rest of it. Even though we had a 40-minute period of absolutely nothing, there wasn't a single ounce of relief to come with each passing minute. Relief felt like weakness to me, and weakness felt like something the Midnight Man would see. 2:30 a.m. to 2:40. We decided to go into the Florida room for the first time all night. It extends so long across the house that I feel like there are so many chances to see him just lurking. But I feel like staying in the kitchen and the garage and dining area is going to do us in, so we enter. We have a tiny bit of light coming through the terraced windows from streetlights on the avenue next to ours, but it is barely a glow. The room is still very, very much dark, and we do the only thing we can think of. Pace up and down it slowly, hoping that the last hour or so will go well. 2:45 a.m. If you looked at the pictures, you'll see that there's a futon at one end of the room. I'm not going to bother to send you the pictures. Since we've basically been on our... Ryan and I sat on it to rest just for a few minutes since we've basically been on our feet since midnight. Like an idiot, I let myself get hopeful of what time it was, how we would be done with this nonsense in a really short period, and how we survived and then I realize he's right there. I look up and see the blinds parted just a smidgen, and before I even look up and see the darkened figure, I get off the bed and dart straight ahead. I run to about halfway across the room, and in the most terrifying second of my whole life, something comes crashing down on me. My overactive imagination can only assume one thing: the Midnight Man materialized through the glass slider and pounced on me like a hunter from Left 4 Dead. But after a second or two, I realize that what on me is flat and scratchy. Ryan shouts out from behind. First, I assume because it's because he saw me get hit by the chunk of ceiling that has just swiped by the side of my head. But no, his candle has gone out again. Still holding mine, I turn, a great deal of pain still on my mind, to see him booking it towards me. "Light your candle," I yell, but he doesn't respond to that. I notice that he isn't even holding the candle anymore, but the salt shaker. He does something that I had never even thought of. He starts to pour a salt circle around the both of us. A boundary that seems to connect just fine, and it's absolutely huge. Even though I have a lit candle, I'm inside of it with him, and his face looks absolutely horrified. I have a brief terror of, now I have to go play by myself for the rest of the night, which is followed immediately by a sudden realization. No, I don't, and I blow out my candle. 2:50 a.m. to 3:33 a.m. Oh, I almost don't even want to talk about this part. The first thing my mind conceives upon blowing out the candle is that I just made a really stupid decision. This is followed by reminding myself that I'm already in the salt circle, and Ryan even says to me, Good, I'm really glad you did that. The two of us are just sitting on this disgusting floor, the salt border honestly looking more like an acorn than a circle. But there aren't any gaps. We sit and there's nothing but complete silence. My pupils are still getting cozy with the idea of dilating after all that candle time, but I swear I'm seeing movement over on the futon where we had been. I don't ask Ryan to turn and look with me. I just want it to end. Throughout the nearly 3/4 hour we spent in the cramped salt acorn, we both got chills at completely separate times. I heard a whisper, no, like a mantra for about 30 seconds. And when I look at Ryan to comfort him, I'm horrified to see he isn't the one saying it. By the time the watch hit 3:33, we hadn't moved. We didn't leave the thing until at least 3:40. Both slowly and silently, we got up and turned down every light in the house. The afterword of this whole experience, I went to the bathroom to see what kind of mark the ceiling piece had left. As you could see, the piece of the ceiling that fell was clearly part of an already deteriorating room. The rest of the ceiling had fallen last summer, but there was no activity back there since. I've had horrible nightmares the past 2 nights. Horrible. People I know in places from my childhood. They'll be talking to me normally and calmly, and suddenly their eyes are pupilless and their tongues is wagging, almost as absurdly and creepy as the original Evil Dead. None of my dreams have involved the Midnight Man, but I can't help but feel like I lost. We shouldn't have shared in the same salt circle, because that was never verified as workable in the rules. I shouldn't have blown out my candle myself, even if I was in the circle. I don't care what anyone dares you to do. Do not take the challenge.
Oh my god, that was a story and a half.
Mm-hmm.
I know, it was very long. He also has an update that he's taken a melatonin capsule. He says he's taking melatonin capsules now.
Dang.
Can you... I'm sorry, they don't ring a bell. What they do?
It helps you sleep.
Oh.
Yes.
It's a more natural sleep aid supplement, but dang.
Yeah, I know. I would never do something like that. I know I'm not that supernatural, but it's something I don't mess around with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, nothing
Because
like
I don't...
Like,
I
nothing like
think
that.
it's going to be fine, but then you find out that it is bad. It is one of those things that I could just never do. Even if I had, 5 people with me.
Yeah, no. Even if there's like the chance, even though if it couldn't be real, I still would not try it because there's always that possibility.
Yeah,
just,
and then, if you try stuff like that, you're inviting it to do whatever it wants.
Yeah.
And once you get, and the worst part is, once you get into that game, you can't stop that game, you know?
Yeah.
Once you get into that... No.
Yeah, obviously. Well.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean... And like a Luigi, like people think you can summon what ghost you want, but you can't. You're just opening a portal.
Yeah, and then whatever comes through comes through.
Yeah.
Yes, let me real quick do a light fixture repair. It's fixed. It's fixed. I fixed it. Don't worry. Yep. Okay.
Okay.
You should definitely check out the Freescast store when you're done with this. There's a lot of cool merch on there. Well, you should still check it out if you haven't over Halloween, which you or during the sale, which if you haven't, then you're stupid because you can have a big Freescast logo dog bandana, which I don't know why anyone with a dog wouldn't want that. I would definitely want that.
Also,
I don't have a dog either, but I would love if I had a dog. Yeah, if you like the video, like it. And if you don't like the video, too bad, like it.
Be sure to tell us some of your scary stories
Yes.
and experiences in the comments
Yes.
down below. We will really enjoy reading those.
Yes,
and
we will
if
make
you've got
ourselves
any
do
friends
it,
that have
even
any
if we don't
scary
really
stories
want to.
make them go like this video. Oh yeah, and tell their story in the comment section below.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed, and we will enjoy hearing from you. Until next time, happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Bye.